Tonight on UMTV News, we'll bring you the latest in the murder of Tyree Nichols in Memphis.
Plus, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis faces major backlash after banning African-American courses.
And later on, we'll tell you why some cowboys wore pink.
The stories and a lot more ahead on today's show.
And it starts right now. Hello and welcome to the first edition of UMTV News for this semester. I'm Madison Shore.
And I'm Justice Johnson. Thank you for joining us. The brutal and violent videos of Memphis police beating 29-year-old Tyree Nichols have now been seen by the world. While 5 others have been indicted on multiple charges, including second-degree murder, one legal expert questions if one of those charges was the right call. 5 officers involved stand equally charged with 7 counts, including second-degree murder and aggravated kidnapping. But one legal expert says second-degree is a gray area that could benefit the defense.
It takes an awareness that there is a just likelihood that you'd be reasonably certain that your conduct would result in somebody's death.
When the blows are as severe as they are, we're comfortable that we'll be able to prove that the defendants were reasonably certain. And that's really all that is required for a knowing killing, which is the relevant language for the second-degree murder statute.
A 6th officer has now been relieved from duty. The district attorney won't say whether the 6th Memphis officer will be charged. Nationally, there's bipartisan condemnation of the deadly encounter and a growing call for federal policing reform.
I mean, it's just difficult to watch. What strikes me is just a lack of respect for human life.
We need a national conversation about policing in a responsible, constitutional, and humane way.
Shame on us if we don't use his tragic death to finally get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed.
The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act failed in the Senate in 2021 after clearing the House, largely along party lines. It's named after the Minneapolis man who died at the hands of the police in May of 2020. The Congressional Black Caucus has asked for a meeting with President Joe Biden this week to move police reform negotiations forward.
11 people have been hurt and 2 were critically injured in a drive-by shooting in Lakeland, Florida on Monday. All the victims were men under the age of 35, and police believe this was a targeted attack, but have not released a motive. No suspects have been put in custody, but this morning Lakeland Police Chief Sam Taylor announced the department located the vehicle used in the attack. Police are asking anyone with information to call the tip line on your screen.
Since swearing into office earlier this month, Representative George Santos has been in the spotlight, accused of lying to his constituents during his campaign. Santos has admitted to lying on parts of his resume, and many leaders have called for his resignation, including some of his Republican colleagues and officials in the New York district. But so far, only one has stepped down temporarily removal house from the committees on small business, and space and technology.
Trump, democracy, and
Santos met with Speakers Kevin McCarthy yesterday, who said the decision for Santos to temporarily step down from the committees was a mutual decision. Santos stated that this was just until his name is cleared from investigations into his personal and financial investigations.
The FDA has declared a shortage of the popular ADHD drug Adderall. 2 million people taking the medication, with around 40% of them being school-aged. The drug is now difficult to find at pharmacies, leaving some patients unable to take their daily medication. Manufacturers are saying supply chain issues and higher demand are to blame. The coronavirus pandemic helped to ease restrictions on telehealth visits, allowing more Americans access to mental health professionals and prescription medication. The shortage is expected to continue through March, according to a Bloomberg report.
The Miami Marathon brings runners from Miami and beyond, and even those who aren't running every day. And with the race honoring South Florida first responders, one group had a certain colleague in mind. Reporter Wyatt Kopelman now joins us to share more about which group of first responders ran for on Sunday morning. Wyatt, what can you tell us?
Caesar loved running in Miami to the point where he ran long distances. But the Miami-Dade police detective didn't run any later than August 15th of last year, as he died from a Liberty City shootout 2 days later.
Etchie was a very, very humble person. Anyone that knew him knew that. He was a man of very few words. He didn't speak a lot, but when he spoke, everyone listened. I always knew if what I was saying was the right thing when you look at Etchie, and you would get like that half smile he would give and that little nod.
Etchie was the only detective of the Miami-Dade Robbery Task Force to lose his life while on the line of duty. And his death gave his colleagues a reason to team up and run the Miami Marathon.
I think the most amazing part was how many people recognized the robbery intervention detail and knew Etchie's story because we were wearing our unit shirts as we were running.
I think part of healing and part of dealing and understanding and just coping isn't something you can hit a light switch and just completely get over from one second to the next, much like training. So I think they run parallels, and that's why I think you find them in marathons.
But preparing for 13 miles was not as simple as going to the starting line. The group of four trained 4 days per week for the past 3 months, a reminder of the dedication needed to protect a community.
One of the hardest things is keeping that discipline and keeping that physical fitness as a top priority. And I think Etchie did that for sure. And he's definitely an example for anybody in law enforcement, a guy with 6 months on the job or a guy with 25 years on the job.
We always try to memorialize those that have fallen in the line of duty in any way possible. This was just one of plenty of events that he will be remembered through his department and through neighboring departments and assistants.
Caesar Echeverri, a journeyman never forgotten. Now, Etchie's family was at the finish line on Sunday afternoon, actually wearing those black Miami-Dade police unit shirts. And quite frankly, it will be all about remembrance, from shirts to sneakers. This race resembles a lot for those not only in Childress, but the detectives behind him running, as well as those back at the Miami-Dade police headquarters. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Wyatt Kopelman.
Thank you, Wyatt. We'll now take a short break, but when we return in just 30 seconds, you'll see what we have to offer.
Find out how black leaders are reacting to the decision by Ron DeSantis to block the teaching of an advanced placement course on African American studies in Florida public schools.
Plus, creativity has no confinements. Get a look at an art exhibit in the Everglades produced by unconventional artists. We'll be right back.
Bye.
When you're expecting?
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey. I'm ready for the...
Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Staying with us, black leaders in Florida say are determined to overturn a recent decision by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to ban AP African American Studies in Florida high schools. Florida's Department of Education says they found concerns in 6 areas of the proposed curriculum. These include Black queer studies, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the Black struggle in the 21st century. But some Democratic lawmakers are calling on the State Department for the Education to be more information regarding the decision.
So many people of color have died for us to have the rights that we have today. So we won't shut up, we won't quit, we won't go away.
History Month.
And speaking of Black Awareness Month, United Black Students is hosting the opening ceremonies for Black Awareness Month here on campus. The annual event, done in collaboration with Unity Roundtable, takes place tomorrow at 5 p.m. on Lakeside Patio. Students can enjoy food served by the African Student Union, the Yellow Rose Society, and the Planet Creole Association. The event also has a live DJ and group dancing until 8 p.m. Mark your calendars for the remaining events next month and check out umiami-ubs on Instagram to stay updated.
And speaking of Black excellence, this year's Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs is the first ever to have 2 Black quarterbacks.
That is just incredible. And with us now is our sports analyst, Wyatt Kopelman. Wyatt, what makes this year's big game so special?
I mean, Maddie Justice, you certainly have to look at 2 Black quarterbacks representing something new, something people haven't really seen. The first duo of Black quarterbacks to actually contend the Super Bowl. Doesn't just have 2 MVP quarterbacks. Those 2 are really the real deal. Not to mention brothers Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce on the offense for each of these 2 teams, the Eagles and the Chiefs. I mean, what more could you ask for in terms of a household, but also some Black history?
Hopefully they'll at least be able to host it at the Rat. Maybe we can watch on campus.
I would love that. Honestly, all I really care about is the Rihanna halftime show, but I'm excited to hear we're getting some great representation here in football. Now over to our reporter, Sophia Vitello, because not far from here, there was recently a show, but it wasn't just an ordinary show. Sophia Vitello has more. Check it out.
Maddie, paintings weren't the only thing that was at this art show. There was families leaning on each other in support, watching art made by their loved ones. Take a look. They say a picture paints 1,000 words, and if that's true, this room echoes with words like, I miss you and I love you. Dozens of people gathered at the Perrin Community Center in Miami recently to hear and see the words and expressions of their loved ones for the very first time. The artwork scattered along these walls is crafted by artists who spend all day, every day creating. One of these artists is Nicholas Sosa, and his 24-year-old son, Jonathan, has not seen his dad in 10 years.
I talk to him on and off. I will talk to him like a whole month of every 2 days, and then I'll go a month without talking to him.
For Jonathan, seeing his father's artwork is special because he has 120 months left until he can see his dad again.
I'll be 34. If I was to talk to him now, I'd just say that, you know, keep going. Keep going. I wish this is something you found earlier.
Jonathan's dad is incarcerated in the Everglades Correctional Institution, along with more than 2,300 other prisoners. Inmates can apply for transfer into this one-of-a-kind facility if they are nonviolent for 2 years. Here, they are allowed and encouraged to create art.
The program was started in 2017 as a small class. We now have one of our dormitory wings is actually dedicated just to the inmates that are in that program.
64 inmates take classes in art theory and are taught by volunteers.
Well, this is a beautiful, looks like a sunset, ocean sunset that my nephew Derek drew.
Derek has been behind bars for 13 years. His family came to show their support.
He is very talented and we are so proud of him, but it could be a beautiful future for him.
And State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle would agree with Derek's aunt. The Art Expression program gives the prisoners an opportunity for the future.
We as a society have to be prepared to give those folks that are coming out of these facilities some sort of a safety net of services, a platform, so they can survive. Because if they don't survive, they're going to go back to doing what they knew best.
Although the inmates' fates are unknown, one thing is for sure. They find purpose through their paintings. It was truly a beautiful event to attend. Hearing the hearts of these families moved the whole room. And for most, these paintings provided a bit of closure. They have faith now that better things are to come. For UMTV, I'm Sophia Vitello. Maddie?
Thanks so much, Sophia. And coming up after a short break, keep an eye on something unusual in the sky nobody's seen in 50,000 years.
Plus, our reporter Anna Kuhn shows us how some devoted equestrians are bringing Western traditions to Southern Florida. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I didn't talk about it. I was told not to talk about it.
So I'm here to talk about it.
Because I can't buy it.
I was able to break my silence.
Because of those who refuse to stay quiet.
I am a businesswoman.
Activist.
Survivor. Survivor. Survivor.
Just 40 miles from downtown Miami nightlife lies a slice of Western culture. This weekend was the 74th annual Homestead Championship Rodeo, and our reporter Anna Kuhn went to Homestead. Check it out. And here she is live to tell us about the event. Anna, what's up, cowgirl?
Thanks, Maddie. I have to tell you, this was not a typical Friday night in Miami. Just once a year, the Homestead Rodeo brings in cowboys from all across the country to compete for a championship title. And this year, I got to size up the competition. 30 years ago, Todd Hartwick could ride a bull like no other. Now he's a local business owner, but once a year, he still finds his way back to his cowboy roots at the Homestead Rodeo.
These cowboys, this stock, this is America. This is original stuff. This is the greatest sport on dirt.
Here we go. Let's try it again.
Todd is one of many people who volunteered to organize the 74th Annual Rodeo, an event dedicated to the love of all things equestrian, and one of the oldest annual professional sporting events in Miami-Dade.
We're bigger and better every single year.
The rodeo features 3 days of barrel racing, bronc riding, steer wrestling, and more. But it wasn't all about having fun. The Friday night events at the Homestead Rodeo were for more than just some prize money and a shiny new belt buckle. These cowboys were riding in style, sporting pink to support breast cancer awareness.
And we call the event Tough Enough to Wear Pink. And what we basically do is we challenge all the macho men around town to put on their pink shirts and come out here to this rodeo.
It's pretty great because I have a couple people from my family that actually went through it.
The riders compete for prizes up to $3,000, but the real prize went to breast cancer research. The rodeo spent all night raising money for the Susan G. Komen Foundation for the Cure.
I think it's amazing for all the women that have breast cancer and that have survived it.
And it was all thanks to cowboys like Todd, who were tough enough to wear pink. This was my first time at the rodeo, and I have to tell you, it's an experience you will not forget. Now, unfortunately, these cowboys don't come to town often, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled for next year's events down in Homestead. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Anna Kuhn.
Thank you, Anna. Keep an eye out for an unusual light in the sky. A recently discovered green comet is set to zoom past Earth for the first time in 50,000 years. Astronomers first discovered the icy celestial object last March. They think the last time the comet was visible in the night sky was during the Stone Age. Its orbit passes through the outer reaches of the solar system, which is why it's taken such a long time to swing by our planet again. The comet will mark its closest pass to Earth between Wednesday and Thursday. It will appear as a faint green smudge near the North Star. And don't worry about the comet coming too close to Earth. It will be at least 26 million miles away. That's more than 100 times as far as the moon.
And finally, it's been hot in Miami, but today you better snuggle up with a cup of hot chocolate. That's because today is National Hot Chocolate Day. Make some at home or stop by a coffee shop for one. Feel free to top it with whipped cream or marshmallows. You can celebrate by taking a photo and posting it with the hashtag National Hot Chocolate Day. I mean, where are we headed to go get our hot chocolate right now?
Honestly, I guess it's Starbucks because we know that there's no other competitors.
Absolutely. We're Starbucks divas till the end, through and through. Well, I try to support the local coffee shop when I can, but it's okay. We love Starbucks so much.
And that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Come back right here at the same time next week. Until then, have a great night.